Okay, we are recording, and I'm sorry, my kids are like in the next room taking a bath, so hopefully you can't hear them too loud. But it's April 16th, and Mel and I are excited to do a Q&A focus call talking all about inviting, because I think so many of us come into this wanting to kind of try out this coaching thing, but also not sure how to go about it because we have this fear of being salesy, because this is a network marketing based business. And I had those same fears when I started. I actually told my coach, Brooke, I was going to do this, but I wasn't going to invite. Like, I was going to be a coach, but I wasn't really going to invite. So our hope is that we can break down the fears associated with it, and we can get you guys rocking and rolling so you feel more confident when it comes to inviting, and we can just get you where it's something that just comes second nature, and it's a vital that you're not scared of. I actually so I think what we'll do, Mel, maybe we can just start with, I have a bunch of a big list from my team. And then if you have any, and then if anyone has any questions, put them in the chat, unmute yourself, and we'll just go from there. So first question I got, and I know that we have some newer coaches on here too, which is awesome, but how do you start inviting? And so I think, this is kind of a loaded question. I think it's hard to just go through it, answer that without talking about a couple things. But when you think about inviting, the reason it is only one of the vitals and not the main vital is because all of the vitals, and when I say vitals, I'm talking about the vitals that are a part of our business activity tracker. If you're not sure what that is, we'll make sure you get that in your hands tonight. But inviting is just one piece of it, because in order to invite to this opportunity, you really have to truly be a product of the product, meaning that if you continue to show up in someone's inbox and ask them to join you, but they aren't seeing you do this every day, they aren't seeing what you're a part of, they don't go to your page and know that you're a coach, but obviously you have to be careful with that because you want to show that you're other things other than a coach, then it makes it really hard for someone to fully grasp what you're doing. So when I talk to a new coach and talk to them about, like, how do I even start inviting, I never tell them to start inviting first. I tell them to go work on their own journey first, because in order for you to find the other people like you out in the world, you have to start showing up for yourself and showing that, daily accountability to yourself. Because if you're trying to talk to the new mom who truly needs that accountability, they want to see like proof that you're doing it yourself. And obviously you're going to show the other pieces that make you you. Like, I'm a mom of two boys that are crazy. We love getting outside. I'm going to talk about all these things that's going to resonate with that girl who I want to join me. But at the same time, they know, because I'm consistently sharing what I'm even talking about. Because the best compliment you can get, or maybe the worst thing you can hear in an invite conversation is, what is even this, or what are you even talking about? Because you want people to know like what you do. And it's kind of one of those things where you have to find the healthy balance of like, okay, how do I talk about this? Can I daily, but also not, you don't want it to overpower your feed. So there's direct ways you can talk about it. You can talk about and show your coaching journey subtly. But I think just finding that balance daily is the first step of even starting to invite. And then I think from there, it's really just, I always tell, especially a new coach who hasn't maybe necessarily established what I would call credibility in the space yet, because you're brand new. You're just now becoming this expert in the space. No one knows you for coaching when you first start. So what I always tell someone is look for people to just, hey, I want accountability to someone to be on this journey with me. Because, I think sometimes we feel that we have to have this, like transformation before we can start inviting, and we don't. We simply just want people to join us, to be accountability partners, because that's what we are. So I think that was a long-winded way of starting or answering that question, but I think the way you start is showing up for yourself. Mel, anything else you want to add to that one?
Yeah, I just had wrote down that when you said, when you do send that invite and they're like, well, what do you do? It's a lot easier and you to invite, and you actually find more confidence in inviting when what you're doing is clear based on the things that you're sharing on your stories regularly. Because if you send them an invite, I know for me, a lot of times, like if I am trying to make a connection, if I see that they have a story, I start to look at their story, like see what they're posting about, behind the scenes. So that's where you want people, if they're going to like check you out, or even if they ghost you, they're definitely going to check out and see what you're all about. Make sure on your stories, you're explaining to them what it is that you do. You're sharing your journey, and you're, explaining what you have to offer them so that they don't respond back and be like, I don't even know what you're talking about. What is your like a boot camp? Like, is it local? Like, I've literally had someone say that to me and I'm like, no, it's not. Okay, I need to change something. So, don't, because then you can go back and see if they watched your stories, because then if they didn't, you can be like, oh my gosh, girl, I think that you would love it. You should check out my stories. And then you direct them to where you're sharing a lot of information. So yeah, that's what I had.
Yeah, and I think another question that kind of follows up to that I've had a lot recently is, who do I invite? And it's something that you decide. It depends on who you are, like what you feel comfortable with. But I always encourage someone, and I think Mel and I both agree with this, that you look to the people that are following your journey, that are watching your story. So in Instagram, if you don't know this, you can see who watches your stories. You can see the people that are, liking your post, engaging your post, and then don't ever forget about friends and family. And I know that was a specific question I had too about family, and I'll get to that in a little while. But I always was reminded that I never, even though I think I may know someone, or I may think I know what someone would say, you have no idea what someone's situation is. Seasons change. A lot of us are moms. Pandemics happen. Like, you just never know. So don't discount someone because you have a fear of what they may think of you, or you're afraid that you're going to sound salesy. Because remember, when you're being proof daily and showing up consistently, there's nothing salesy about it. You're truly on a journey of sharing like more happiness, health, wellness, and that's something that you can't put a price tag on. And so I just think personally, I will never talk negatively about another network marketing, but we have this opportunity and beauty to be in a space that we get to offer so much more than something that's salesy. I mean, we sell something and then we start a relationship with someone and change their life. And I think that's a super cool feeling that a lot of people don't get the opportunity to do. So remember, like, value yourself too. Like, we are offering someone a challenge pack, but you have something to offer someone. Like, and even if you feel that you're not maybe have the background or the experience, none of us did. I mean, unless some of us have, there's a few of us I know on this call that have a little bit of background in health and fitness, but the majority of coaches don't. We're just simply there to give them the tools to be their cheerleader, to be their supporter, and to help them, make healthy habits like a normal routine. I saw spirit fingers. But yeah, so I think that, and if you guys have any questions, I'll try and keep the chat open since we're not.
I would like to add something, Kelsey.
Yeah.
Just like how you said, where you are on your journey, if you're a newer coach or whatever, you have to remember that where you are in your journey, because everyone has a fitness journey, right? With the programs and your own transformation and everything. And then I feel like we have our coach journey. And you have to remember that when you are, because honestly, we could be talking about, inviting to a challenge group or inviting to coaching. So let's talk about challenge group. You are further along than that person. So if you compare it to your coaching journey, yeah, you might not be at a place where you are working with a success partner, like me and Kelsey are running a team or a team call, but you're on here because this is where you want to go. And so you're coming to us because we've been in your situation. So when you're with a challenger, and even though you've been a coach for a month, you've also have been diving into personal development that they're not doing. You are learning the programs, you're learning the nutrition program. This is all information that you know that you've been doing for a month, 2 months, and they have no idea what you're doing. So you can help them. They're trying to get just as far as you are. So they're at chapter 1 and you're at chapter 5. And then if you like go into the coaching aspect, you might be at chapter 1 and me and Kelsey are at chapter 5. So you have to, it's very parallel in what we're talking about as far as like coaching a challenger and then coaching a team. It's like, you just have to remember that a lot of these things are parallel to each other, and you do have something to offer because you're consistently moving forward and you can help others based on where you are because of where you started and how far you've come.
Yep. Well said. And I think too, I saw a question about men. It's funny, Leah, we were on our power hour today. We were talking about this because I have a lot of guys that follow me that I know, maybe they went to college with me or high school or wherever, and I know them. So it's not like creepy, but I have always shied away from talking to guys because I feel like I think I would know their answer, but I don't. I've actually had a couple guys recently more interested because they cannot, get to a gym. So I think the majority of us have women, but so you can do different things. Like most of us run groups that have mainly women in there. I did have a group at one point that had a couple men in there. Some of them were husbands. Oops, sorry. But we have like other men within our broader team that run men only groups that I've added men challengers to, or you could just simply have like some type of accountability with men challengers too, if you didn't want to add them to a women group. But definitely, adding men too isn't something that if you guys have spouses or friends that would be interested, never shy away from that. That's always an opportunity there, and I'm just more realizing it now that I've probably maybe left some opportunities out there because I was scared to maybe talk to a guy. Okay, so a question I've gotten a lot lately is just when to make the shift. Okay, so we're on Instagram, we're showing up daily, we're starting to engage with people, talk to people that are following our stories, maybe just like, hey, thanks for following my wild health and fitness journey along. Are you on a healthy journey too? Something like that. Maybe it's some type of intro invite like that. That's my kind of go-to. But from there, when you start conversing with someone, when do you make the shift to talk about my next group? And so I think this is something it's hard to answer because it's really going to depend on the situation of, who you're talking to, how often they're getting back to you, what your conversation's about. Most of my conversations, I tend to shift my questions now with especially with a pandemic at our hands. Like I will somehow talk about move into self-care and talk about, workouts have been my saving grace and sanity right now. Oh, are you doing something like that too? So there's not really I wouldn't say okay, in 3 days I, talk about coaching. But I do try and always ask a lot of questions when I start to converse with someone because I want to make sure from day one they're getting the support they need. If they have a workout routine and they need nutrition support, but I only ever talk about the workouts, then they may never think twice. But if I explain or start to ask them more questions, so then I can give them tailor a solution to what they need, they're more inclined to be interested to eventually join. And so I think as coaches, a big thing we need to do is just better understand what we offer. And so, of course, Mel and I and other coaches can talk about all the different Beachbody offerings, but as a coach too, it's up to you to go check out our website, check out, in our coach office, there's a whole FAQ section. You can learn about any product. And I think that I truly believe we have a solution for everyone. And I think we continue to innovate as a company. And it's pretty cool because as coaches, we don't have to come up with any of this. We're business owners, but we don't have to actually come up with the products. And there's not a lot of businesses like that. So that's just a really cool concept. But, I've had CrossFit women join me. I've had Weight Watcher girls join me. I mean, there's all kinds of different people that don't have to be, bleed Beachbody blue and still enjoy aspects of our, programs and offerings. And so kind of back to that question is, when do we make the shift? I just ask a ton of questions. And I think a lot of our upline too, will say, you've just got to get to know what that person's pain point is in order to help them. Don't overcomplicate it, but just, think of it as like you're talking to them in real life. Like, how would you handle the conversation when, you meet someone new? Maybe you're, out at a bar or out somewhere and you're just like getting to know someone. So talk like you would in real life. We can give you scripts, but if the script doesn't sound like you, don't use it. That was my mistake in the beginning. But yeah, just ask a lot of questions because people obviously will also know what you're doing because you share about it. So, if they're thinking that you're just coming after them because you want a sale, and that's how you're kind of taking the conversation, they probably will ghost you. But if you come more from a genuine place because you genuinely want to help people, like maybe your life has already been changed, then people are more open to that. So I always tell a coach, just get to know maybe what their challenge is and let that flow organically. And if you can, control the questions by asking more questions about, what are you doing for self-care now? Like, what are you doing with your time? And then you can start to offer like what you're doing. And that's where, like, especially now, we have a great opportunity because we're all have common ground. I talked to a girl in New Zealand today. We don't offer anything to New Zealand yet, so she's not someone I could sell anything to. But, she's doing the same thing we are. She's stuck in her home. And that's pretty cool that we're all in this one point in history bonded by this awful thing, but it actually connects us. So I think it's kind of an opportunity for us to come from like, a common place because we're all in quarantine. What about you, Mel? When do you kind of take making that shift?
I have definitely, well, first of all, I would like to say that I've definitely leveled up even just since working with Kelsey. I have seen a lot of progress in my connections just based on the conversations that Kelsey and I have in regards to what her workday looks like and what she's doing behind the scenes. And so, you're just like, when you partner up with someone, you're going to be teaching them and they're going to be teaching you, because I might be doing something that Kelsey's not doing that just like came natural to me, but it's not to her. And then all of a sudden it helps her business. And so I remember the one day, Kelsey, I said, you were like, I have to get to my messages. And I was like, do you just like have messages all the time? Like all the time? She goes, yeah, I do it in the morning and the afternoon. And then like, I try and do it at night. You don't? And I'm like, no, I don't have anyone in my inbox. Like, no one's talking to me. And so I knew that I had to change something. And what was I not doing? I wasn't, I learned that Kelsey's always like, well, then I go and love on them. And I'm like, I don't do that either. Like, what am I doing? Why is she hanging out with me? So I started doing that. And even now, like, it's like a fun little surprise when I see like 13. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to answer all of them right now. I'm going to wait and see how much more I can get before 1 o'clock. So, but it's connecting for sure. So There's just so much power in sharing. I had someone in my inbox today, and she said, I really resonated with the post that I just liked. And she like sent me this big long thing, because something as simple as you saying like, well, what are you struggling with? Like, you have no idea what that question can like trigger for someone. And then all of a sudden they're just like, finally, I can just like unfold on someone. This is like a stranger. She doesn't know me. She's not going to judge me. She might be able to help me. Like, I just need to like get something off of my chest. Like, you can be that for people, because especially now with the quarantine, like, I ask people all the time, like, well, what does your typical day look like? What does your typical day look like? It's obviously different now. So a lot of people are going bonkers, and that's where you can come in and be like, I stress communication with your spouse heavy, because I feel like me and my husband, like, well, at least I have like, it's not necessarily a safe word, but when I'm like going like this and I'm like, no, I'm gonna implode. It's happening. Like, I need a timeout. Then that he knows is like, okay, yeah, for sure. Like, go for a walk or something. So you can help people simply by asking them what's going on. Like, haven't you ever like had someone like say like, I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but I was struggling to help one of my coaches. I wasn't getting the responses back that I was hoping for, but I wanted to help her. And finally I just like flat out asked her, like, are you okay? And it was just like text message. And I'm like, okay, so maybe my approach needs to be different. And it's the same thing for your followers. And it's like, people are going through a hard time right now. And back to what Kelsey said, like, we are doing more than just selling them a challenge pack. We're asking them to join a lifestyle that has changed our life, because I'm sure there are coaches that sell a challenge pack and like, deuces, peace out, like, just got the commission. Like, the challenge pack is literally like the entry fee to like the freaking party. Like, there's so much more behind the challenge pack, but they don't know that unless you're sharing it and you're telling them. Don't be afraid to talk about people. I know some people, I don't know how you are, Kelsey, but some people are scared to say the word Shakeology on their Instagram. I like had my box on my stories today. Like, they know what I'm about. And if they're just like interested in it and then they go and Google it and buy it themselves, like, that's fine. But if they want to be a part of like my movement and what I'm doing, then they're going to come to me when they decide that they want it. And so I'm never, I don't know. I've just gotten a lot of really good responses, especially today when I shared that stuff about my son that I never shared before. And it's really true when you start to open up and be vulnerable with people. Oh, she's a real person, you know? So I know it's intimidating to make conversations on Instagram and stuff like that, but just be who you are. Because Trent Shelton posted something today, like, you will never be able to make something real off of something that is fake.
Yep.
Something along those lines.
And that's why, as a coach, you know, you have this obligation. Really, the only obligation is just to start sharing your journey, because you can't invite to something that's not real. And so, you know, it's something where some girls are going to see people immediately want to join. Other girls, it's going to take time. I've had a combination of girls who are ready to sign up that day I talked to them, to girls who have taken 2 years. Joanna on our call, I think she watched me for a year maybe before we talked, or I don't even know. I mean, it was a longer time, but it's just everyone I watched my coach for a year. Everyone has to get to the right time. And you never, oh, yeah, there's a couple on here, but you just never know when it's going to be the right time. And when you're afraid to send the invite, or when you're afraid to post the post that maybe talks about you're now a coach, or, I'm a part of this community because I said yes to coaching, you just never know when that's going to be the straw that breaks the camel's back on that one girl who just comes to Instagram and just needs it. I mean, Brooke had a post, my coach, that it was her and her kid. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. Like, I'm tired of just watching. I'm just going to try it, because I was so in postpartum, like, just, it was so bad. And so you just never know what someone's situation is. And that's what Mel was talking about earlier. You have the ability, because you're sharing more than just a coach, that you can, change these lives. But it all goes back to just you sharing your journey. Okay, so that's kind of with the shift. I wish I could say, like, okay, well, you start a conversation in 3 days, you start to talk about coaching, but you really I would recommend you just start to ask more questions, and try to get back to what you're doing, and see if you can get that two-way communication going, because you want to make sure you understand someone's struggle. And set timers when you do this, because a lot of us are very, very busy. We're all busy, but we don't have hours and hours and hours. So I set a 10-minute timer. I send as many conversations invites I can get in, take a break, do something else. I'll do 10 minutes later in the day, or whatever my time allows that day. So just know that you can work this business and invites and things like that in pockets of time. Timers are amazing. Okay. So follow-ups. I think this is huge. How often do you follow up? How do you follow up? So a couple things. I would love for you guys to, like, even, I don't know if you've had other people reach out to you from network marketing things, but when you have, if you've ghosted them, or if you've said no, have any of them ever followed up with you? I bet it's very few. And I know that probably in all the days of, like, getting Rodan and Fields or the lipstick stuff, whatever it is, very few people have followed up with me. And honestly, had they followed up, now that I'm in network marketing, I probably would have paid more attention to them. But the fact that I said no or ghosted them, I try not to ghost now, because now I'm in the business and I understand that that's a heartbreak. But I do think that if someone continued to show up on their stories, continued to invite me to their party, I would be more inclined to check them out. I mean, just being honest. And and even before I was in network marketing, because I think that shows to me that, gosh, like, if I really need something like this, like, they are going to have my back, and they are consistent. And if I'm going to join anyone, I'm going to join that person. And often, I think, like, gosh, what's the statistic? I think it's like the sale happens 8 to 10 follow-ups, like, or 8 to 10 reaches out. So you have to think, like, if you reach out to someone 8 times, that's likely when they may say yes. And okay, so follow-ups, got to do them. So how often do you follow up? So my kind of rule of thumb, and Mel and you're going to hear, like, all different things. But for me personally, what I've found that works is if someone has a conversation with me, and we're conversing back and forth, we're talking about, we finally get to, like, their challenges, their struggles, and then I don't hear from them for a couple days, or they ghost me, or they just don't answer, I will follow back up with them in a few days, because we were just talking about it. I make a note. I'm still pen and paper kind of girl. I keep everyone in here. And I go back and do my follow-ups that way. I'm going to automate it someday when I have time, but I just haven't had time yet. But pen and paper works for me. So I'll make a note, and I will go follow up with them in a couple days. If it's someone who ghosts me, I will usually reach out the night before I say my boot camp closes, even though secretly I'm going to add someone any time of day or any time of month. I will say, hey, last chance, would love to have you. If they ghost me again, I follow up the next month. So for me, I want to also show that there's some exclusiveness to my groups. And if you don't get in this round, I'm going to follow up with you next month. And maybe the reality is I haven't even hit my Success Club number yet. I'm still going to be searching for people in the background. But like if they ghost me, then I'll follow up with them again next month. But if it's someone I'm having a conversation with and then they just stop, I circle them, I do like a star, I just note it on my notebook so I don't let them fall through the cracks, not cracks, because the worst thing that can happen is you go to follow up with someone and they ask you a question, or you guys had a conversation going 3 months ago and you never followed up and you're like, I let that opportunity kind of slip. So figure out a tracking system that works for you. We won't go too much into tracking on this call, but there's so many out there. And just make sure that you are following up. So if we're conversing, I follow up, in a few days, and I really align it to when I'm saying in my stories, my group is closing. I make it a big deal, like, a countdown. I'm putting names of girls that have joined my group. And if you have no one that's joined your group, I don't care. Make up names. Make it look like your group is popping. And then when it closes, or the day before it closes, you have like full reign to just go out, hey, like get in this group. It's going to be fun. Do glitter, do stories, whatever. Make it a big deal. And then people will get more excited. We had someone on our call that talked about that, and I started like adding more glitter. I don't know if it helps, but I feel like more people are ready to join. What about you, Mel? How often do you follow up?
So if they ghost me or say no thank you, I do it monthly. And I've even asked people like, okay, do you mind if I reach out to you for the next month? And a lot of times I'll be like, yeah, that's fine. Just because like it's not no, it's not no never, it's not right now, kind of thing. But just like what Kelsey said, like if they have expressed things that they're struggling with to me, and then they like want the info and then I send it and then they never follow through, those struggles are the exact things that I am either talking about in my stories, like, because a lot of times I'll use my workout clips, like I do like this sped up, whatever. And a lot of times in my workout clips, I know Kelsey does it too, she'll say like all of the reasons why this is helping her. So I'll use that time on my stories to be like, to battle or to like hit those pain points is what I'm trying to say. I'll use those types of pain points that someone has expressed to me, but they ghosted me when it came time to actually like sign up and really get started. I'll remind them of that in my story, and I'll battle that pain point or in an Instagram post or whatever. Especially if they're watching your stories every day, you need to remind them that you actually struggled with something similar and this is your solution. And then, just like what Kelsey said, like if it's like last minute or like end of the month and you need it, that Success Club, just be like last chance, kind of thing. Like, hey girl. Or a lot of times, like just because like I am more designated on like when I'm working now, just like with us being home with the kids and stuff like that, I'll be like, hey, I'm setting up a couple of girls. I have like a couple hours to work and get girls set up. I just wanted to reach back out and see if you were ready to jump in with us. Because I make it sound like, okay, I'm on my computer, I'm doing the things. Are you ready? Because I can get you set up right now. I can welcome you in the group and I can send you the email. Like I had to send 2 welcome emails tonight. And I told the girls, the one girl signed up for the 3-month, another girl signed up with a challenge pack. And I said, and I made sure to say, I'm leading a team call tonight at 8:30. I'll send you the welcome email either before or after, and I'll welcome you into our boot camp tomorrow. So it is very much like, okay, you signed up and yeah, you do have the information, but now I'm going to follow through with like, yeah, you made the purchase, but now I'm going to show up as your coach and help you. And there's more to it than you just, buying something from me. which is what they're excited about, right? Like they want more than just Beachbody on Demand, is, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do the monthly thing, even if they ghost me. If they ghost me, I still send them an invite.
Yeah.
Like every month.
Yeah. And I think someone, I don't know if it was, maybe it was Lauren had this question too, like, or someone on my team, how, like, if they continue to ghost you, how often do you like engage with the conversation, like try to say like, hey, how are you doing? Or do you say, hey, like, do you want to join my boot camp? And so for me personally, I've never been a big cold inviter, but if I've invited them like every month for the last 6 months and they've always watched my stories and always loved all my stuff, and maybe they genuinely just like watching, life over all my stories, and that's fine, but I'm still going to take it, like, it's still like free reign to invite them to me personally. So I will typically invite them to say, hey, I know you've been following my journey for a while. What about jumping in one of these groups? I'd love to have another accountability buddy. Like, make it super casual, but it is a way of, like, I guess, semi-cold inviting, but not really, because you've invited them a bajillion times before. And so I don't really have a problem with that. And if someone chooses to quit following me at that point, so be it. But typically they continue to ghost me. But then there's always some that will eventually just one day say, you know what, I'm finally ready to join. And that's the thing. This is kind of at the end of my list, but it truly is a numbers game. Because if you invite 5 people a day consistently, but you do it every day, you're going to find a challenger in there. You're going to find a coach in there if you start talking about coaching some too, even if you're a new coach. But if you invite like 20 people one day and then maybe like you'll invite 20 people next week or 10 people and you're just not as consistent, it's going to be more challenging to find those people because you haven't really mastered like the consistency of it. I invite at least 5 days a week. I usually on the weekends I'm a little more like off, but find a schedule that works for you. You don't have to send 50 invites a day to be successful. You can send 5 invites a day, but do that every day or whatever your number is. But the more people you connect with, the more opportunity is. It's also just really a numbers game. And, eventually, people are just going to come into different situations where their gym's closed or whatever it is. So I had a question. Oh, the share cart. So Jess asked about if you send someone a share cart and they never complete it. I'm assuming like a free trial. Is that what you meant? Yeah, I will check in and see if, and it sounds like you checked in, but I will see if like, hey, I, just want to check in how you're liking it. And maybe even say something like, your 2-week will be expiring in whatever days. Do you want to, you'll be charged again. I mean, I still try and like check in with them if you think they haven't really filled it out. But even if I send a share cart for like a challenge pack or something like that, I always like will check in with them because sometimes people, miss it. And I will be like, every few days, like, hey, I'd love to get you set up. Group is closing soon. Always offer this like exclusiveness. So people will, know that you're just not an open, like, you can't just join me anytime. Like, I have dates of when things are closing, even if you really don't. Part of it's just like showing that you have something to offer, but it's like limited time.
I also, lately, like if I'm sending them a share cart, anytime that I get someone's email, I enroll them with a free purchase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, so that way, no matter what, whenever they decide to get Beachbody, I'm their coach because we've talked about it, whatever. But if you're setting them up with the 2-week free trial, so it's the 3-month thing, I always say, send me a picture of the confirmation. Send me confirmation. It's once I'll say, send me confirmation and then I'll plug you into my group.
Yeah, I say the same thing usually.
And they screenshot it and
So
they
do you put them in if they're only doing the 2 weeks? Because like, so I had like a bunch of girls say, yeah, they want to do this. So I sent out like literally like probably 15 share cards.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's okay, but it's the back end that sucks. Like so I had probably like 4 or 5 of them actually fill it out. And then I was going around like checking back in with them to see how they were liking it. And obviously I'm not stupid. I see in my coach's office that you didn't actually do it.
Yeah, that's when you would say send confirmation and then I'll plug you into
telling me that they did it. They're telling me they're doing them.
Oh, and they maybe they're doing, so I see, because Leah had the question, or yeah, there's a question too about the sample. So there's kind of what we've been offering, especially now because of quarantine. You can do it one of 2 ways, really, to offer people access to workouts. So maybe they want to test it out. So you can offer them, there's tons of PDFs out there or documents that show all the sample workouts. And so you don't have to sign up for an account. But what you can do on the back end is you could still say, hey, I'm going to set you up with a free account. So basically you go to ShareCart, you just put their email in and you don't click in, you don't add anything. So it just makes them a free BOD membership.
It'll say at the top, enroll without purchase.
Yeah, enroll without purchase. So you
and
can
they'll get an email.
Yeah, just to like, you would then be their coach and just send them the sample workouts. But they only have access to those 10 workouts. Or if someone really wants to try like all the programs and you think they're, maybe they just really want to try it all, you can go to ShareCart, enroll them with the 3 months BOD access, and it'll show $0 when you add it to the ShareCart because the first 2 weeks are free. And then after 14 days, it's $39 and it's quarterly. But what we do is I just signed up like a girl last week with she wanted to try everything. And she'll probably, I'm hoping do a challenge pack, but maybe just BOD access. I don't know. But what I'll do is this weekend, I'm going to send her a message, say, hey, how's everything going? And then let her know, okay, on this date, you're going to be charged $39, but for the quarterly access. However, if it's something you think you're gonna, you want to do longer and save some money, here's some options for you. And with the idea of like laying out the challenge pack, so they could get, their workouts for $100 and get a whole bag of smoothies or pre and post workout for $60. But yeah, I would just keep checking in with them, Jess, and maybe even ask them, next time for their confirmation. But check in and say, hey, like, I think your BOD spot, maybe even if they didn't sign up, to say, it looks like maybe I think your BOD is going to be charged soon. Are you still wanting to do it? I'd love to have you in my group. You could always do something like that.
Well, what if
I've never had anyone say like, oh, I'm just going to do the 2 week free. I've had people ask me about it and I say like, oh, you sign up for the 3 month, but they don't charge you until like the 14th or 15th day.
Yeah.
And then I've had people who do get the 3 month and they'll send me a screenshot and they're like, it says 0. Is that right? And I'm like, yeah, the first 2 weeks are free. They don't charge you until after that. And then it's the 3 month subscription. But I would still add them. I would still add them to my group because at the very least, like, you're following through with what you have to offer them as a coach and you're showing them. So that's where I would write down, ask for the confirmation, send me the confirmation. I'll plug you into the group. If you don't have a welcome email, I highly suggest a welcome email. And then like a PDF, like a Canva thing of like explaining like, this is how you access BOD. This is how you access your nutrition with the portion containers. And then what else?
I send them a welcome email just like I do a challenger, with the hope that before those 14 days are up, I'm going to try. Joanna just had a girl do this, and I think maybe some others. They did the 2 week, but she's actually converting them to a challenge pack. So, but even if they don't, like maybe they just want the bod for a year, they just want the try it quarterly, you still are getting commission. I know we have this, all of us want this goal of hitting Success Club. It is a
I
goal.
hate that they call it Success Club.
Yeah,
I
we
hate it.
should strive for it, but it doesn't matter if someone gets quarterly access, year access, buys whatever product, you're still, you're still getting commission. So I think early on, my coach told me it doesn't matter. Like your goal is to help people to make some money, and you still achieve that by all of those ways. And also, we just want to give people like what they need to. But yeah, Jess and Joanna, I would absolutely add them to the group, add them to the challenge group. Like I said, I send all of my ladies even with the free trial, because I think that they're going to stick around at least for 3 months. Like my welcome email. And
because that could be the thing that sells them.
Yeah, because they get to see everything.
All the information. They see that it's more than you just saying like, hey, pay for this and get a workout in. Like, no, come see what this is all about. This is way more than that challenge pack that I'm trying to get you to buy. And that could be like, okay, I wasn't aware that it was like this whole thing. Like, yeah. I thought I was just getting workouts.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, I see everyone in the boot camp talking about this pre-workout. Like, what is this? And then that could be the thing, that entire experience, those 2 weeks, put down. If they already said, if they came into it saying that they're going to do the 2-week free, then write down when they ordered and check in with them before they get charged. Explain to them, like, this is what's going to happen. You're going to get charged for 3 months, but I wanted to just break down your options for you if this is something that you really wanted to stick with. Break down a challenge pack, and then then you can have them cancel that, sign up with a challenge pack, whatever. And then if they say like, yeah, it's just not my thing, like, okay, then they're out of the group. Be like, okay, well, I would love to have you dive in with us maybe next month or, whatever.
And another way too, especially when you're in conversations or putting it in your stories. I mean, I talked about this in a training group I'm doing this week, a Dash to Diamond group. It's like, be an objection ninja, like not just in your messages, but like in your stories too. So Mel talked about this earlier. When people say, okay, maybe it's too expensive, or I would never stick to that, talk about like your experiences with that publicly too, because sometimes in the beginning I used to have some really good responses to people, but I only did them in direct messages. So I then had to keep retyping that or recopying and pasting, and that takes up time. Like I don't have time to do that every time. But if I start publicly weaving that into my stories and my posts in different ways, then people are like, okay, a challenge pack is really only I tell someone like, you can get started with packages that break down to $8 to $13 a month. $13 a month is what a challenge pack is. Like when you tell somebody that, I've never had someone say that's out of my price range. They're like, oh, that's it? Because I have girls that were paying $160 to go to Orange Theory or Burn Boot Camp a month. And so I think sometimes we think this one amount is a lot, because then, there is the Shakeology cost or product cost, but that's where the opportunity, to then introduce the option of like, but you can save 25% if you want to stay on these products or solutions, even if you never want to coach. You could just be a discount coach. So it's kind of like we have every step covered. It's just getting to that point, like break down all the objections maybe you had in your own stories and posts and conversations, and that'll really help. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of chat. That's awesome. Yeah, so I think just like if you have someone sign up, just treat them like a challenger. Get them in there, and if for some reason they choose to get out, we can pull them out of the group. You can pull them out of your group, no big deal, but just love on them, and that'll really help. And then okay, this is changing gears. I did have a couple questions. I want to be mindful of time. How to find like followers and how to kind of grow your Instagram so you have more people to invite. So I think you can do it a couple different ways. What I've been doing recently, and it seems to work, is part of like my daily tasks is I will spend no more than usually 20 minutes a day. It's usually 10 minutes. Going to, maybe it's like some type of blogger or something that I'm into, whether it's like right now it's all the mom like bloggers that have all the activities, or maybe it's some type of like book person. Like I love to read, so I follow like their books that they recommend. I will go to that account, a bigger account, like a really, pretty big account, and I will add people that comment on that post, on their most recent post. So I'll just, glance real quick, add them if it's like a girl or a woman, usually not a man. And then my goal is just to get someone to my stories, because if I can get someone to my stories, I can hook them, hopefully, so then I can start a conversation with them. But I try and add, for me personally, I try and add like 40 to 50 people, usually at least 5 or 6 days a week, and it takes 5 minutes. Like I literally spend 5 minutes doing that, and that's all. And then in my other 10-minute block of connecting with people, I'll then go to the new people I've added this week, go to my followers, sort them to most recent, and I'll just go through and I'll like a couple posts, I'll comment on a post, and I'll do that with a timer. So like 10, 15 minutes, do that with a timer, with the goal of trying to get that person to follow me back, and more importantly, start watching my stories. Because once they get to my stories, I will see them and I will be able to, start to engage in some fashion. So I've been doing that, and it's definitely, Instagram has changed the algorithms a lot. And that's why Instagram trainings, they change so much. Like what we're saying tonight could change in like 3 months. But the more you love on the people that are following you, that are engaging with you, and you show that love back, your stuff gets shown more. And so I know it takes time. It takes time to get seen, because we might have these awesome posts, but they don't get seen enough. So you have to just build into your pockets of working your business time to, look at the people that are following your stories, go love on them, like show love back. And a big goal, and what we've learned more recently, is try to get people to comment like on your post and ask a question back. So Instagram will see, that you're having like, your post is popular, or they save your post. That's another way. But as far as adding followers, I've just been, looking at people, bloggers, things like that I like, and adding people that comment on their post. And usually if it's someone who has more than like, I don't know, 7, 8, 10,000 followers, I'm looking for smaller accounts. And that really seems to help, because if it's like a bigger account, those are usually not even run by that person. What about you, Mel? How are you adding people?
I will go to the people that I have been connecting with. And I have been and I've been going to people who like their pictures and some of their followers, because a lot of them will be somewhat local to me, because there's a lot of moms that I don't know that are around here. So word of mouth, this is like, we always say like where I live, like it's a West Side thing, but like everyone knows everyone. You can't go to the Kroger without seeing somebody, or Target or whatever. So anytime that like you meet someone new and then all of a sudden you're having a conversation with them, 5 minutes later you make a connection that you know someone that they know, and then literally the word is, oh, well, that's the West Side. So I just go to people who I'm already engaging with and that are engaging back, and I see who else they're engaging with, if they're other moms and stuff like that. And I've actually made a lot of connections that way, because I know that we have people in common that we know. But what I did want to add is, like, I know that there are 1,000,001 bots on Instagram voting on your polls, and it's so annoying. And all of these, like, I've had so many like couple musician accounts, and like this one what is it, like the profile picture, I kept looking at it. It was like a new follower. I'm like, what is that image? And it's dead serious, like a girl like licking her shoulder. I'm like, I'm blocking you. Like, who are you? But I wanted to say, you guys have to ask your followers what they want. I have done so many more IGTVs. This is how it all started, though. I flat out took a screen recording of the tracking app that we have, the Nutrition Plus app, and I simply said, would something like this be helpful to you? Yes, not really. Honest question. I know everyone's like, don't ever like give them an option to say no. No, but you really do need to know for something like that. Would a tracking system be helpful for you? Mm-hmm. Are you tracking? Yes or no?
I'm stealing that tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's a really good one.
It's a simple question. Yeah. Do you track your nutrition? Yes or no? Would a tracking app be helpful to you? Would a food list be helpful to you? Like, just ask, because everyone that says, yes, that would be helpful, then you can go into their DMs. Thanks for voting on my poll. What about nutrition do you struggle with? Simple question.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a combination, use the little features in Instagram. Yeah. I mean, there's polls and like Mel said, you are going to get bots and some weird people. I mean, I used to get like, not very many people would vote on polls, and now it's like 50, but half of or more than half are bots. But they're still going to, if you weed through them, there's still like someone who you're like, wait a minute, maybe they accidentally clicked it, but maybe they are kind of curious.
And that's why I always try and put it at the top. But also now though, I'm doing it, I'm also asking them questions that I might think like are like, oh, no one wants to see that. I literally asked my followers today, like, should I make an IGTV? If I made an IGTV on everything I eat in a day, would you watch it? Like, definitely, or maybe. I had like 19 people hit definitely, and some of them have never engaged on my stuff before. So they're watching and they want to know. But you have to figure out what your followers want to see. They're following you for a reason. They're not going to tell you why. Yeah. So you have to find out. I like, you guys know that I'm like Cardi B with my fingernails. So I asked them, like, I ordered press-on nails. They got shipped today. I'm hoping they're here on Saturday. And I asked my followers, like, should I make an IGTV of me applying these press-on nails? And everyone was like, yes, please. Like, everyone's bored. Like, sports aren't on, so their husbands are driving them crazy. And like, you know what I mean? They just want to see some like girl stuff or whatever. Like, that's my tribe. Like, people want to watch me blow dry my hair. Why? I don't know. But every time Ashley Fall Dyson does a house tour, I feel like I know where she keeps her toilet paper. But I watch it every single time. It's fun. So you have to figure out what your followers want. You have to.
I know it gets kind of creepy when someone knows your house. Like, gosh, Kelsey.
But that's what people. But also though, like, let's revert back, because I just told my my coach Kate this. This should be fun.
Yeah,
it should be fun, and I'm having way more fun than I ever had now that I have like tweaked things and I'm excited about it, and I'm just like doing the things that I want to do. One day my brother dropped off a gift to Malcolm today, and one day I've literally asked him before, like, can you like record yourself for like 1 minute talking about my boot camp? Then I'm going to share it to my stories and act like you're running the boot camp, because people love you. But it's just fun, and like people will start to be like, oh my God, I love seeing Annie wants my brother to sign up as a coach because she thinks that he would be successful because he like makes fun of the entire situation. But but you want people to remember you for those things.
People are nosy also.
Oh, yeah.
I know I am. So
yeah,
get your husbands in on it.
Yeah,
I get a lot of for me anyway, like people love seeing Al in my videos, like the dance Triller videos. Like when I make, like I will, I make it look cute in the video, but I am yelling at them like, you will be in this Triller. Like it's happening, and if you don't like it, too bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big fan when he gets on.
Oh, me too. Me too.
With his
And
shirt
when Mel
off.
was visiting from New York, she was like, you need to take your shirt off. She was like directing him. She's like, you have to do this. You have to walk through the kitchen. It was like a whole thing.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
amount of yelling that went behind my post today for Malcolm's, the picture of me and Malcolm, we actually took the picture like yesterday or 2 days ago. And I'm like, oh, here's good lighting. I have never gotten this with like the dining room backdrop. Like, go ahead and get it. Portrait mode. Then he's just like staying there. I'm like, are you getting it? And he's like, oh, he hasn't smiled yet. I'm like, just take the picture. And then he like took it. And it's just like all of the dining room and like me on the floor. I'm like, I don't want all this. I have to make it zoom in. Oh, it was like not okay. It's hard work out here, but we make it happen.
but no, it is. I had my husband take a picture tonight. He's not an Instagram hubby yet. But yeah, but ask, like, use the polls. Even like, it's crazy. Like when I do like even non-health and fitness polls, those get genuine people answering. Like Sam's or Costco. It's crazy how many people are passionate about one or the other. Like whatever.
Where the connections start.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like every single person that votes on a poll, unless it's like, some weird person, start a connection. Like, oh my gosh, like I love Costco too. What's your favorite things? And then you can ask them questions, organically get to health and wellness in some fashion. It may happen that day. It may take a day or two, but at least you have a very viable connection for you to start talking with. And that's going to help you start to plant the seed. And remember, like, even if people ghost you, but yet they still watch you, you're planting the seed. And as a coach, the only thing you're supposed to do is come and nurture that seed, give it sunlight, give it water. I mean, it's true because nothing grows overnight. You will have those anomalies that are like, okay, I'm ready to sign up day one. Very rarely does that happen. But you show up every day. You do it because you are on a journey to health and fitness. And then people want to join you. And that's really it. It is. I think we overcomplicate it way too much.
It should be fun.
I was looking at questions. How do you upload an IGTV on your IG? So there is how. Yeah, I've actually done it in the app. I think, or done it in the Instagram app. If you just go to add a video to your feed, if it's longer than 90 seconds or whatever the time limit is, 45 seconds, it just automatically gives you the option to add it as an IGTV. But then there's also an app you can download to add it to. But then you have is that what you do, Mel?
Well, so there is, now you can do it just through Instagram. Your IGTV has to be at least 1 minute long.
Yeah.
And then like when you go to upload, you like can have the title, which is like what it'll look like. And then it'll say description, which I believe is what the caption will be under it. And then at the very bottom, you'll have like, the whole scroll of like the video, and it'll say like, pick a cover photo. And then you can either scroll to like a still, like a still shot. Is that what they're called?
Yeah, or you can add one.
Or you can upload a video. So a lot of times I'll just take like a cute pic, throw my preset on it, and use that. So it like it flows with my feed.
And there's an app called Quik, Quik. I don't know if anyone's used that, but I've used that quite a bit for IGTV videos, and it allows you to filter, crop, add videos, combine them. It's very easy to use. It doesn't take a lot of time. But you can just search. There's a ton of free apps out there if you want to like crop. Like I do everything in Square, so I just want to make sure my videos, go to Square or whatever. But again, don't worry about having this perfect looking feed. Just focus on being genuine. Like be someone that you would want to be friends with, and your people, the people that you're meant to find, and people that are more like you will be attracted to that. But don't discount the people that are already following you. I, for far too long, didn't invite friends or kind of shied away from it because I didn't want to be that girl. But when you're genuinely showing up, you know, it's just part of what you do. So I always tell a new coach, like, if you opened up a boutique today, you would absolutely tell your best friend and tell your dad and mom and your sister and your brother to come buy something. And this is no different. This is not an actual boutique, luckily, because they're all closed. This is something that we can do online and stay open right now, which is really awesome. But it's still a business, and we're offering so much more than just selling someone something. So I'm not as afraid to talk to friends and family because it can change their life.
Will.
That's, I think, most of the questions I had written down. Anyone else have anything or anything pressing? My chat has gone crazy. It's like,
yeah, and just anytime that you have like a situation, like I know when I'm in a situation with a challenger, like an invite, or even now, like that I have a team in different situations with my coaches. If I'm struggling, I reach out to Annie because there's a good chance she's dealt with a very similar situation. And so don't ever be afraid to reach out to your coach and say, hey, have you ever dealt with this? What would you recommend, the route be? So, everyone goes through like very similar situations in this business. So
yeah, when I first started, I would have I would like get stumped on questions like all the time. And I would be like, or Brooke is my coach. I'd be like, Brooke, help me. So I'd like send her the screenshot, or she would even like jump on a message too, just to, if it was like something maybe a little more complex. But yeah, never be afraid to ask. I mean, I ask so many questions because we don't know, like we're just learning this. So don't ever be afraid to ask questions.
Good students ask questions.
Who's going to be the teacher's pet? No, this is good. I like all these questions. But yeah, I mean, especially now, I mean, I know Joanna's been doing it. Jess has been rocking it. Like, and I even offer it now too. Like, if someone says no, I always offer them like, hey, here, would you like to try 2 weeks free? Or would you, and if they still say no, I will send them the sample workouts. I just never walk away empty-handed. And if someone says no, you can even follow it up like, totally understand, it's not always the right time. Could I follow up with you in the future? Or you could say, hey, would you like to try some sample workouts? So just, provide value. Because eventually someone's going to get tired of watching you show up and just want to join you, which is the goal.
Did you see the email that Annie got?
I don't think so.
I don't know if she has like some sort of like automated, scheduled, whatever. All I saw, let me read it. And this is what I like tell like people all the time when they're like, oh, they said no and now I'm so upset. I'm like, Annie doesn't care if people say no. She makes a lot of money. So she says, I guess the person had said no, and Annie said, good morning, you can click unsubscribe to be taken off the list. Have a great day, Annie. This person said, fuck off. I will not unsubscribe. You will fuck off. You are in my box uninvited, and I will tell you to fuck off every time I see you. And Annie said, someone is crazy. That's what she said. I'm like, I'm so glad that you are like the queen of personal development and your mindset is the way that it is, because she just doesn't care. It's not going to change what she's doing on a regular basis. You know what I mean? So it's like if Annie let every single one of those types of messages like completely derail everything that she's built, like, I just think it's funny.
I mean, it's true.
Doesn't care.
And you have to like not be emotionally attached to the invite or the response. You just can't, because you have like for every one person who may say something negative or you feel like they are, there's like 100 people's lives you're going to change.
Right.
So keep going. All right.
Should we
So
do a
much the
boomerang?
weekend. It doesn't really matter because every day feels like a Saturday.
I know. I literally am always like, we just did that last week. Jonathan's like, that was yesterday.
I have no idea what day it is.
Yeah.
Okay, do it on your phone. Are you gonna do a boomerang?
Yeah, I'll do it on my phone.
Okay, my computer's locking up.
Okay. Ready? 1. I want shimmies.
Shimmy.
1,
Everyone keep moving.
2, 3.
All right.
Okay.
Have a good night, ladies. And I'll get the recording up.
Okay. Perfect.
All right.
Thanks.
you.
Bye.